Welcome to PrepsNet Coach Speak with Hayden Wildcats head football coach, Chad Eads, powered by Campus Traditions. Here's your host, Aubrey Johnson.
Welcome back, Coach.
Thank you very much. Good to see you guys again.
All right. So it wasn't really the debut you were hoping for. You lost to Brewer 6-26. Give us an idea of that night.
Well, there were a lot of good things in the game. When you leave that night, you're disappointed, of course, in the loss, and I was glad to see the kids were disappointed.
Yeah.
Sometimes you take over a new place and there's not the disappointment that you want to see when you lose. And, so when you get back and get away from it and you look back at the intensity they played with, our kids played hard and
good
and did the things you want to see. I thought there was good leadership. We didn't have stupid penalties and a lot of big mistakes that you see. We had some things in our special teams that hurt us real bad. And, so there were a lot of good things to come out of it.
Sure.
I think every kid now can see the mistakes that he's making, and we're still in the beginning process of kind of learning each other.
Right, gotcha. So what lessons came out of Friday night?
Well, there's good things from it. I learned which kids that you can depend on when it gets to that point. A lot of kids can perform at practice in the friendly confines of a practice field, and it changes when they get on a Friday night stadium. But just seeing the ones that you can count on to perform, regardless of how the game's going.
Yeah, good deal. So, any injuries come out of that game?
There were a couple. We got out pretty clean, from the game. There was a young man that most likely going to have surgery on his hand, had a torn tendon and something that needs to be fixed pretty quick or to become a much more severe problem. And of course, certainly don't want that. And then had a mild concussion, may potentially get him back this Friday, but want to make sure that's all. We'll go off of our doctors on that, make sure he's completely healed before we put one back out there with from a concussion.
Okay. You've got Oak Grove this Friday. Tell us, what do you expect to see from them?
Well, I know Coach Musso. I've known him for a long time, and I know what style of football he likes. They'll be a very physical team. I think they're big on the defensive line, especially a couple of interior guys, so that'll be a special little problem for us to move some of them.
Right.
And, and you can tell the kids believe in what they're doing, and they do it at full speed, and that's what you'd expect from the kids there. And I think defensively it's a tough matchup for us. Just how they play, and they're going to make you do things that you maybe aren't comfortable doing in order to beat them. They're going to take away the things that you think you do well, and they'll do their best to stop those things, and you got to be willing to adjust and make some plays in some other areas outside of your normal offense, maybe.
Wow, gotcha. So then on September 5th, you play Douglas. A little bit of a different situation with Douglas versus Oak Grove. Oak Grove's been very successful. Douglas is kind of a 50-50 type team, at least in the past they have been. How do you best prepare for the Eagles?
Well, and of course, by that point, we'll have a couple of games worth of film and be much more familiar with their program by that point. And, and I think for us, this first 3 games of the season, this pre-region season, is a good time for us to. Of course, we want to win, but we also wanted to find out what we are and. We're still in that process, find out what we're good at and what we're not, and to continue to get better with our eyes toward that point of the year, but also want to, within a couple of weeks, we'll know a lot more about Douglas and
yourselves.
Yeah, and ourselves too. So there's a lot of discovery going on right now.
Right, good deal. So, Coach, I know you've been around a long time. Maybe this hasn't changed over time, but just curious, what does a typical game day look like for you and the team?
Well, I'm finding out that there's really not. I guess there are some typical things from school to school. For the most part, the school part of the day is pretty routine. A lot more excitement in the hallways on Friday in a high school, and people dressed up and all those things. And that's the fun part of this. There's we get late in the day just before school gets out, and there's a pep rally, and so those are fun, and then we head straight to pregame meal and have a speaker for them, and then we're in the field house getting ready. And if it's an away game, you're hurrying to get on a bus and get somewhere, and if it's a home game, trying to make sure your stadium's ready for the visitors to show up. So it's a fast day. It seems like it it drags along a little bit during the school part of the day, and then suddenly you hit about 2:50, 3 o'clock, and everything speeds up double time.
I bet they do.
They do. They do. It's an exciting day, though. Still an exciting time, and you know, I said I told my wife a few days ago. I said most people wake up today and they go, "Thank God it's Friday,"
right?
Because they don't have to go to work tomorrow, and I get to go, "Thank God it's Friday," because it's game day. You know? So what a good way to spend your life.
Now, I'm sure it's a little bit different, an away game versus a home game. What do y'all do in the afternoon of a home game?
Well, once they're over here in the field house, try to keep them settled down and rest a little bit. You know, the problem with teenage boys, they want to be on the move all the time. They want to go out on the field, and we try to keep them inside and off their feet a little bit. Try to keep the schedule pretty busy so there's not a lot of downtime for them. And, you know, of course, when we get here, there's equipment issues and getting things set up on the field and making sure the clock's working and all those things, but then also just getting them mentally ready for the game.
Do y'all have a pregame dinner together?
Yeah, we eat just as school ends. You know, around 3:30 or so, have a speaker come in and talk to them, and then eat together, and that gives them time to settle down and be ready to go at 7 o'clock.
Okay, fantastic. Well, Coach, that's our show. We appreciate your time, and as always, we appreciate yours. Join us again in a couple of weeks for another Hayden edition of Coach Speak.